But another large discussion is how do we get chains to work with each other? So our next panel is going to be on interoperability, and we are going to welcome to this stage Sheraz Ahmed, Managing Partner at Storm Partner.
Okay, I think it's working now. Fantastic. All right, it's great to be with you all this morning in Paris. Thank you so much for being down here whilst it's beautifully and sunny outside. I'm sure we'll make it entertaining and worth your while. So this is a topic I think that's been kind of ongoing for quite a few years now, and hopefully we can debunk some of the myths in today's panel. A few of us here, so we'll kind of go straight into it. Maybe I'll ask my panelists as well, not to just do individual kind of intros, but when you answer your first question, just give a bit of an elevator speech to who you are and kind of what you're doing as well, and we can keep it kind of nice and short. So maybe, Jess, we can kind of start with yourself. You know, we keep hearing that the invisible blockchain is kind of finally here. Maybe from a user perspective, can you give us a little bit of context? So like, what does that actually mean today? How far have we kind of come? And just kind of maybe giving us a bit of like a past to present moment.
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Jess Houlgrave. I'm the CEO at WalletConnect. We're a network of about 700 different wallets across different blockchains, and everything from a retail wallet through to a custodian or institutional offering. So we see a lot in the wallet space, and obviously those are very often the like key interfaces with end users in terms of how they're interacting with blockchains. I think over the last few years, one of the things that we've really seen for end users is more optionality. And I say that because I think that the optionality here is what's really crucial when we talk about the complexity of user experience. The idea of the invisible blockchain is really appealing to some, but it's not to others. And so I think we shouldn't forget that there's a really wide range of people in crypto. Some want a lot of customizability when they're doing an interaction. They want to be able to actually see the underlying gas fees. They want to be able to make changes to how that transaction is maybe submitted, to which RPC that's submitted. They care a lot about privacy. And at the other end of the spectrum, you've got newer users who want just a really clean and easy, familiar user experience, and they don't want to have to know what a blockchain is. So I think the biggest evolution for me is that we've seen this variety emerge so that wallets can find their niche, find who they can serve, but that it's not all just about removing that complexity. It's about finding the right level of complexity for the user that you serve.
Fantastic, thank you so much. Maybe Charlie, like throwing it all the way to your side, like do you agree? Like maybe what is your perspective around that topic that Jess just spoke about?
Yeah, so quick intro. So Charlie, founder of Bloom. We're a market intelligence network where traders publish theses with a verifiable on-chain position attached and a reputation. It becomes a single surface where you can trade assets cross-chain, whether it's perps, prediction markets, tokens, on-chain stocks, whatever. Yeah, I mean, the point is very valid that Jess makes, I think, which is there is a big range of user categories in the space today, right? That's always been true. You have the pros and the original cohort who want this level of granularity and visibility over what they're doing, and then you have the more sort of casuals who have been in the space for a long time, who sit much more close to the retail user in nature. And these guys want abstraction. These guys want simplicity. They don't want to worry about gas fees. They want to trade and have access to assets and do their different activities across every single chain ecosystem. I don't think we're quite there yet. I think we're midway through the adoption cycle of these sorts of technologies. I think last year we had big developments in the EVM space, which has made things easier, 4337, 7702, all of these account abstraction protocols, but they haven't been adopted uniformly. So there are still kind of problems at the edge that exist, and I think that the complexity has been pushed downstream, and there are problems that are yet to be solved, I would say, around reputation, around trust, around making sure that things are legible and easy to understand for users that we're still on the journey towards solving.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, maybe Sergej here, you're not an OG in the space. when we normally kind of speak a little bit at conferences, we speak about, blockchain, Web3 topics. When we were just walking around here, one of the first kind of questions was like, how are you using AI? Like over the past 12 to 18 months, like in your world, kind of what has changed? And when we look at kind of the topic today, what is there still to kind of improve? You mentioned like some new product launches as well. You want to give a little bit of context to that?
So in general, we see huge changes in AI regards. We see all the AI agents popping up. And I get a strong feeling that we will go away from building the apps and trying to innovate UX with providing maybe unified experience, what we tried at 1inch and we failed from our point of view, and Uniswap also tried as well, to offer kind of cross-chain seamless experience so users don't really need to think about on what blockchain they are. But at the end, user just use their own muscle memory and want be on Ethereum or want to be only on Base. And they switch between the networks, but they want to switch by themselves. And we offered unified interface, and it was kind of for the user not easy to understand and to use it, because they used to use a specific pattern and muscle memory. From my point of view, the next billion user will be AI agents and not humans. And we from 1inch, we develop like MCP servers, we develop skills, so we try to onboard Web3 into AI space. So I personally built over for WalletConnect connector service skill for my AI agent, so I can connect via WalletConnect and swap. So it's completely different other user experience, and I think we will change the approach from building different apps, what looks not similar, don't follow the same pattern. So for example, on Curve, I don't really know what to do to provide liquidity. And I don't want to deal with that. And even older generation, they don't want to deal with that. So older generation like all the AI agent boxes in the home, and they can ask to play a movie on my TV, and it just works. In the same manner, Web3 should work, where user just ask agent, show my portfolio, suggest me how to rebalance it, and just rebalance it. Yeah, just do it.
Thank you. And if you're here, maybe you can give your perspective around so what is still not working? I mean, Sergej's point, is it the human that's still not working, or is it the tech?
Sorry.
Yeah. So a bit about my background is about account abstraction. For the last 3.5 years, from the early days of account abstraction, I was involving with account abstraction. I started with Bioeconomy, where they were the first, one of the first to actually adapt and build a builder. Involved in research over there that eventually rolled out as a startup, trying to figure out how to solve interoperabilities with interoperability with intent, like a multi-hop for users to get best experience. After that, running that for 2 years, and after that involved also with the EIL project with the Ethereum Foundation. Actually worked with the team on building the Ethereum interoperability layer that is still it's going to launch soon, but it's still in progress. And also from the security angle, was involved with Kerberus that is protecting users on their account, end users on their account. That is actually a big challenge when it comes to account abstraction, and we had a lot of issues and need to be on top of everything that relates to user execution involved with account abstraction. So generally the history of account abstraction as we see it, at least from EVMs and Ethereum ecosystem, is in a way that it started as a demo. It's actually 437 is the first proposal that is not actually involved providing the end solution. It was a demo. It was built on top of the Ethereum as a smart contract ecosystem and not integrated into the core protocol. So I think that's what actually messed up some stuff, because people got something that is less efficient, and on top of it, it's also like not final. So why should builders, and I'm talking as a builder, should get involved into that when you have something that is not the best experience? It's gonna iterate towards like more, like better versions over time. That's what actually happens. And eventually someone will kill it and replace it with the same concept but on the core protocol. And I think it gets a lot of, they caught a lot of fire with that. And eventually they realized that they need to shift into something else. I see a lot of potential with account abstraction and 437, what can be done with that. But since they built a concept that was not fully baked, like having a bundle, like an altruistic bundler and involved with all kind of components that someone need to feed, eventually got builders to not really get excited by building something like this. So I think now we're in a different position. I think in nowadays, builders and users need to take like a new approach of, we see 7702 getting adopted. Like maybe got a bit twisted because we see wallets having their own version. It's not like the original intent of 7002. But we do see it's coming. We see it's working very well. And for example, the EIL project seems like a very good solution. I'm not sure if it's going to get adopted or people will like it, but it seems on the efficiency side, on the capabilities of having multi-hop execution cross-chain involved with multi-chain, that is something that is unique and actually now seems to be like very efficient and work properly. So I think like on the next steps, we're going to see something that is properly handled, in place, and hopefully get adopted.
Yeah, I see. No, and thank you for that. And I mean, I want to double click on that point as well. Avishay, last but not least here. I mean, we've said that account abstraction is coming and it's nearly there for years. I mean, to what Ofir kind of mentioned. I mean, from your I think cybersecurity perspective, and of course, correct me if I'm wrong, the perspective that you want to take on this. I mean, like how close are we to that? And I mean, do you concur with what Ofir just mentioned?
Right. Just let me introduce myself. Avishay Yanai, CEO and founder of Soda Labs. We are providing privacy solutions to on-chain transactions, wherever they are, either normal wallets or smart contract wallets like account abstractions. I've been in the cybersecurity space for the last 15 years. I've seen a lot, mostly not blockchain, but in the past 5 years, I'm very involved in everything around blockchain security and privacy. So Soda Labs is about privacy. And the account abstraction shift is actually shifting the risk from outside of blockchain policies, off-chain policies, into on-chain policies. And also the structure of ownership is coming into on-chain and visible to everyone. And not only that, this is based on code, a lot of times Solidity or Rust or the blockchain's programming language, which is many times is not like security first, right? So there are a lot of hacks that happened in the past years. And recently, we've seen a lot of AI also that conduct those attacks. We're involved in the triage of security reports on protocols and wallets that people are sending to us as security providers. And we see a lot of them are coming actually from AI, and some of them are really good. And this is only getting improved. And I think in this stage, we have to understand what is the upgrade of this risk, and be prepared for it.
That's a very important point. I mean, Charlie, does that matter? And maybe just to like add an extra angle there, like, do your users care about interoperability when maybe they're just trading to get a certain yield on the platform, and people are just trying to make money at the end? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, most users don't care about this stuff at all, right? Like, they want it to be hidden. They don't want to worry about gas. They don't want to worry about chains. Obviously, the Web3 native market, they are inherently more pro in nature, and so they might care about these things. But everyone else, like the kind of portion that we're going after now, they just want a seamless experience, right? Like, they want to get their job done, right? Like, whether that's trading, making money, whatever it is.
Can I add to this?
Yeah, sure.
So I got the feeling from one each users where we introduced a unified experience of like users see, for example, all tokens on all networks. They don't like that. They don't understand that. It's too many interactions. So they need to select USDC, and USDC is on like 15 networks. And then they need extra, do an additional click to select the network itself. So I have the feeling that actually they don't want to have this seamless experience that they don't see on what blockchain it is, because they cannot verify what's happening under the hood. So that's why we have our Web3 users who don't want to trust centralized exchanges, what they are doing under the hood. That's why they are using us, because they can verify that they are on Ethereum blockchain or on the base blockchain, and they interact with the right protocol and not with something what was hijacked by a North Korean hacker.
Yeah, I mean, so it depends how you instantiate it, right? It depends how you make the UX for the user ultimately. And I think that when you have different user categories, you need to give them the ability to see what's going on. So, for the retail user who doesn't care what chain they're on, you roll the assets up into one view, right? Like if they want to dig down and they can see they hold USDC on multiple different chains, they can still do that. But the key thing is that the user shouldn't be selecting network throughout the flow, right? Like generally speaking, you should be picking sensible defaults. If there's a particular asset that user is likely to be wanting to trade with, maybe their largest balance is USDC on base, you would select that by default. So it's just about, the way that you instantiate the UX ultimately. I think what you're saying is very true, but if you can provide a product that can cater to both a pro and a retail user, you're in the optimal space. And that's the challenge. I think that's the
huge challenge. Yeah.
I think I want to bump into that and say just from my experience building something in that area, and if of course the vision is to have complete abstraction and not let the user worry about chains, but eventually users do want a sense of control. So you need to find some kind of a compromise of how you save them the decision making, and that's also hard because unless you know the end results of the user, he want to do something, sometimes he's doing a transaction that will later follow by something else. So how do you check pick the right chain if you not really know what will come after that? So I guess the compromise on our case, and the experience that we saw recently, is that to make a decision for the users, but eventually let them know what will happen, or even have the ability to change or to make a decision based on their needs. So you provide a solution, and then they can modify that or navigate towards what they want to have.
I would say a good compromise from my point of view is to work with AI agents, because they can guide you. They will not decide for you. They will just explain and guide you to exchange your assets, for example. Yeah. So.
Yeah, maybe Jess here for you to kind of jump in. I mean, if the blockchain then ultimately becomes invisible, I mean, who is accountable for the user experience? Then does it become yourselves, the wallet, the dApp? I mean, who is the relationship manager there?
I think my view is that the wallet is always going to be the place that the user has the most affinity with the brand and with the user experience that they're providing. Sergej, your point on the AI agent I think is true, and that at some point maybe your agent becomes your default, and therefore the wallet underneath is maybe less important. But I think right now, and also for the next, aside from the billion AI users, I think the next billion human users are going to experience crypto through a wallet interface. That might be a crypto wallet that we have today. It might also be a stablecoin wallet or a crypto wallet that's issued by their neobank or by their retail bank. And that will be the place that they go to manage their assets. So I think that the brand and the trust there is really important. At WalletConnect, we're a very, very thin layer that sits in all of that. And so when people see on an application the WalletConnect button, they know that that's a secure way of connecting their wallet. And we try to build in user experiences to the WalletConnect protocol that enhance the user experience. So that might be around security, verifying that from your wallet that you're interacting with the application that you think you're interacting with, or verifying the smart contract that you're interacting with. So there are certain things that we try to build in. But actually, I think that wallet user interface is where a lot of people have that trust. The SEC came out with really interesting new guidance this week, with a 5-year kind of moratorium that says, that's made it really clear now that wallets have the ability to offer some of these services, the ability to swap. But they've also been really clear in that guidance that if you're providing that kind of user interface, you cannot just make a decision for a user. You have to provide them with information and with some degree of optionality around that. So I think that's actually going to be really instrumental over the coming years as guidance for how and why a wallet should offer specific user experiences. And I think that has the potential, it's only a few days old now, but I think has the potential to really change how wallets start to build.
Yeah, thank you so much. And maybe Ofir to yourself, and then maybe Avishay after that. I mean, so are we simplifying the system, or are we just kind of hiding it better, hiding the complexity better?
Well, it depends, to whom, I would say, because the end goal is to simplify that for users. That's for sure. But I guess you put more weight on the builders or the protocols or the chains. So and you what you get in return is probably a lot of security issues. We saw many of those recently, at least from my experience and my research, that you see we can have a very simple example, like 7702 that start getting emerged recently, and a lot of wallets got adopting this, and you see that you see new security breaches that comes after it. Some of them super creative, because before that you need to just get for example, if you want to hack the user, you need to get him to sign. Here now, it's and to submit it. Now it's become a bit more soft, and there's many other manipulations that can be done. But eventually, if you get the delegation for someone with the 7702, you actually give a full access on most cases. So we put more weight on the developers, on the engineering side. I think the ecosystem is trying to simplify that and create some elements that will help them do that. But eventually, they need to be more responsible in that case.
Excellent. Avishay, yeah, please go, and then please, Jess, if you want.
I think whether we are simplifying or not, the goal is definitely to simplify, right? I mean, this is what we are trying to do in every level. And UX is not a problem only for how to interface a wallet for humans, but also for end users, but also across the whole stack. It also appears for developer experience, right? Which features do you export to developers? So, of course, you want to give them the ability to modify whatever they want when they call a function, but you also want to enable developers that are not very knowledgeable to call that function, for example, without knowing anything about it, just do the default arguments and do what we think the developer wanted to do, right? This is the default argument. So definitely want to simplify, but it's not an easy task, right?
I think I was just going to add to Ofir's point. I think crypto is notoriously good at solving one problem and creating 10 more as a result of solving that problem. I actually will have a slight disagreement on the 7702 point, which is that I speak to a ton of wallets and they're I'm not going to do it because it's created a whole load of issues both for the developer and ultimately also for the end user. And so I think that we're getting closer to creating better end user experiences, but it becomes more and more complex underneath the hood, and you look at that in a specific ecosystem like EVM, and it's happening, and then you have to level that up to the wallet builder that's trying to build for an end user who may have assets across multiple chains and is having to keep up with 27,000 different EIPs and other improvement proposals to make these things better. And I think we are sometimes too hasty to take something from this, like it's a proof of concept or it's a demo, and to say, okay, now that's ready for production. Everybody go and adopt it. There was a post this morning that said, Ethereum's made loads of improvements and the wallets haven't caught up. And I really vehemently disagree with this, because I think, yes, Ethereum's making improvements, but I also think that it needs to make those improvements by actually understanding wallets and understanding their end users. And it's really important that the wallets have discretion over what they choose to adopt and how, in order to keep their users safe. Because when the user has a bad experience in a wallet because they've delegated to some smart contract and then something happens, it's the wallet that they feel angry at. It's not Ethereum. And I think we have to remember that that wallet has a really precious relationship with the end user.
Yeah, it's a difficult business model as well. I mean, maybe you can do a thought exercise here and maybe a bit of a scaling test. And Sergej, maybe you can start. If 100 million users came on chain tomorrow, what would break first?
The centralized Web2 infrastructure. What broke yesterday?
Cloudflare.
Cloudflare as well. Maybe AWS a little bit if it's not properly configured. So we have seen yesterday the hack of CowSwap. It's a social engineering attack on OVH Cloud. Someone faked the papers, the documents, and got access to the domain. User lost funds, not because of Web3 architecture and bugs or vulnerabilities. They lost funds because there's still Web2 architecture and infrastructure what we need to use. There are no other solutions right now. But I think there's also no other solutions to right now in Web3, so we can replace them. Yeah, we need somehow to deal with them and ensure what we do at OneInch. Security audits, red team tests, blue team tests on the Web2 infrastructure is very important. So in terms of can we scale to 100 million users, if you just look on our Web3 architecture and infrastructure, I think yes. So we had cases where Coinbase was down, Binance was down, no withdrawals were possible, and deposits as well, but OneInch and other aggregators, they just worked. We had in a day $8.5 billion US of volume, and we had no extra load. Yeah, we had no extra exponential costs or something, because it's just smart contracts, and of course some off-chain computation, what the aggregators have with the algorithms, of course. But here we can scale. We can scale with AWS, for example, or Google Cloud, if the infrastructure is set up in the right manner. So the beauty of smart contracts allows you to reduce the complexity. And I want to add to the previous topic about the complexity. There's a Murphy's law. If something can go wrong, it will go wrong. That's why we at OneInch as well try to build the architecture in a way that nothing can go wrong and nothing can break. We try to build as simple as possible. In the best case, we have only 300 lines of code of smart contract what it should do, and cannot break. Yeah.
Thank you. Did someone want to comment on that, on the scaling test? Any other additional thoughts?
I think there's 2 points. Can we add another 100 million users? No problem from a technical perspective. Can we add another 100 million happy users who are going to come back again and not just try it once and then never try it again? Is a very, very different problem. And I think actually that's the problem that we have as an industry, is that we have to make these experiences delightful. Those next 100 million users are used to Web 2 experiences. They're used to experiences that feel really intuitive, that where they don't have to go through a whole learning process just to get to the starting gate. So I actually think that a lot of the technical stuff is solved. And the question is, like, how do we create great experiences for people so that those 100 million are going to come back?
Thank you. No, please, Charlie.
Yeah, I think like on the interop question on the technical side, I think it's largely solved, right? Like things like WalletConnect, things like 1inch, like it's possible to build apps that have delightful experiences that are cross-chain, that are very, very easy to use. There are some small areas that are still fundamentally flawed in Web3, right? On-ramping is terrible, big fees. There's never really been a very good solution for on-ramping quickly with low fees. And then beyond that, I think that actually most of the problems that people would encounter are more behavioral and cultural, right? I think because Web3 has been this gold rush where people have become extremely wealthy, extremely fast, it's rife with bad behavior, right? Like culturally, the space needs to mature. And I think that, these guys come into the space, they get exposed to different asset classes. There are certain assets that you fundamentally cannot get involved with unless you are incredibly experienced and know what you're doing, right? Like meme coins, for example, absolute minefield, rife with scams, bundlers, all of this sort of stuff, right? So for me, it's more that, the space needs to grow up. And I think there are some additional technical provisions we can layer on top which help to improve this, right? Things like reputation scores go a long way to solving this stuff. But I think generally the sort of threshold for behavioral quality is quite low in Web3, right? We have people who sit around in the space who've done questionable things in the past, who are sort of put on pedestals because they made a lot of money and whatever else, right? And people trust them and they listen to their advice, but it's a big extract still. There's a lot of extractive behaviors, and I think things like reputation scores can help to solve this, right? Where someone actually has to put some degree of collateral on the line attached to their name in order to say the things they're saying. I think this is sort of the major shift that will start happening now, and I think particularly in the field that we're operating in, which is social trading, signals informed by other users. There's a lot of players coming into this space. You've got X who've released smart cash tags. You have Robinhood who are doing a social experience as well. On-chain is perfect for this stuff because you can verify everything with a position. So you can prove that someone actually holds the asset that they own. The final piece in that set is reputation. If you can layer that in as well, and people actually have some level of collateral on the line, it prevents them from doing these bad behaviors. So yeah, behavioral cultural things can be solved through technical solutions, but that's the next chapter in my mind. The trust layer where people feel comfortable that they're going to not get scammed, that they're going to make money, that they're not going to incur all of these extremely PvP environments.
Yeah, thanks a lot there. And so as we kind of slowly wrap up and kind of come to an end, we have 5 minutes left. I mean, maybe Ofir, we can start with yourself. I mean, a little bit like, let's push a little bit further into the future, kind of like jumping on what kind of Charlie said. Are there any other like assumptions that we need to kind of get clear as we move forward from your perspective in order to kind of, reach the mass adoption we've all kind of wanted?
So, first step is talking about interoperability and account abstraction. I started to mention that I think we're right now in a good position, and I think that's a good start on how to provide a user experience, and I think that's what we're going to see next. One more acceleration or catalyzation to that is actually quantum computing coming. And you also need to solve that, and part of it is involved with changing the signature or having the ability to have quantum-proof signatures. That also can be solved with account abstraction. And third, about the general solution or the general experience, I think we're gonna see on the next year or two way more better solutions, a way to solve experience in a nice and smooth way, and hopefully to get more adoption into that.
I'd like to touch the gap that you mentioned. So from my perspective, I didn't hear a lot of how you tackle the privacy issue. Whenever you speak with an enterprise or institution that want to actually do something with blockchain, then privacy becomes one of the major things that is one of the first questions that comes to mind. And there are not too many solutions. And of course, UX is super important. Security in general is super important, and risk management. But the next obstacle or gap that institutions are wanting to solve is the privacy. And yeah.
I know a few people who went to jail because of this privacy topic.
All right, I'm speaking specifically on a compliance solution. So, yeah.
So it's compliance, not privacy.
Compliant jail.
Yeah, thank you for writing that remark. I do think that maybe if we hear some of what all of you have said, there's a lot of people that are either on one side or the other, and there's like a whole kind of, I don't know, I think you mentioned Charlie minefield around some people want more privacy, some people want more transparency, some people want lower fees, some people want higher security. I mean, I think you could just kind of map, there's always one person at one extremity as well. I mean, as we have like maybe 30 seconds left each. I mean, blockchain is a data management system. There's so many different types of use cases. We have a conference here where we're moving from finance to supply chain to a variety of different topics, financial and non-financial. I mean, how do we even like navigate that? Is it one industry? Is it a subset of industries? When we look into the next 5 years, are all of us going to be in the same room at this one conference, or are we going to be at different subset conferences? Are we going to be at the traditional conferences in, let's say, those traditional kind of fields, and blockchain just going to be a component to it? What are your thoughts? Maybe it's a bit of a macro existential question, but maybe a 10-second run.
I mean, in like the year 2000, there were internet conferences. And the idea of an internet conference today is like batshit crazy because the internet touches everything. I think it's probably going to be the same for crypto.
Thank you.
So very often, like every 3 months, we change. I would say, like half year ago, AI was not super topic. Now it's super topic. So we need to adapt. Yeah. And if you ask me what I see in the next 5 years, I hope we will not fight against you robots.
So I think we're gonna like waves. We're gonna see like and it happened before. We're gonna see fragmentation, and then it's gonna be like unified on some aspects, and then going fragmented again, and so on and so on. So we're probably not gonna be in the same room. That's for sure. But still, it's not. Well, maybe the next one will be more fragmented. But I think eventually we're gonna reach towards more unified solution. Hopefully. The fragmentation will be on other aspects, like new aspects, new ways, new capabilities that will go and grow down the road.
Yeah, I just completely agree with Jess. We'll be fragmented to many different verticals, and everything will be like trivially be built on blockchain if it's financials. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't crossed the chasm yet, right? We're still in the early adopter phase. We're all still nerds, right? And so if we fragmented too fast, there would be not many of us in a room for each particular topic that we're interested in. So I think over time it will become more and more fragmented, as everyone's saying. It's just a product of the technology becoming more and more hidden, right? Same is true of apps. I think that different niches will appeal to different audiences, right? You're not going to have single apps that cater to absolutely everyone. Get into the problem of, dilution for each respective user group. So it's just a matter of time. I think we're in a good place, though. We're on the path.
Thank you. Thank you for leaving us on a positive note there. Let's continue to be a bit critical about our success and continue to build together. Thank you so much for listening.
Welcome to Signal Week.